My mom forged my signature to sell the house. My grandpa left me in his will, so I called the family lawyer and did this with her bank access, and now she's begging after losing everything. So my grandfather, Bruce, Mom's dad, passed away about 8 months ago from pancreatic cancer. It was really sudden, like from diagnosis to gone in less than 3 months. He was basically my hero growing up. He built this whole chain of hardware stores from nothing after coming back from Vietnam and was just the most hardworking, honest guy ever. Growing up, he was always there for me. Like always. When my dad missed my soccer games because he was traveling for work, he's a salesman and was gone a lot, Grandpa Bruce would be there cheering louder than anyone. He never missed a graduation or important event. Ever. My parents divorced when I was 15, and while they told me it was just growing apart or whatever, I later found out it was mostly because my mom is, well, really bad with money. Like, really bad. More on that in a minute. Anyway, I just finished my master's in education a few months ago. I'm drowning in student loans, about $87K, and obviously teachers don't make much, especially starting out. When Grandpa Bruce passed, I found out he left me his house in his will. It's not like a mansion or anything, just a normal 3-bedroom in a decent suburb, but it's completely paid off and worth around $375K in our market. I was so grateful because it meant I could actually live somewhere without rent while paying down my loans. It was literally going to change my financial future. So here's where everything went to shit. I've been away for the past 3 weeks at this mandatory new teacher training program in another city. I was staying with my old roommate from college to save money. I know, I'm cheap, but student loans. When I got back to my apartment yesterday, I had some mail that had been forwarded from my grandfather's address. One was from a home security company addressed to new homeowners at my grandfather's address. I was confused as hell, so I immediately drove over there. And there's literally people moving furniture into the house, my house. I parked and went up to this woman who was directing movers where to put a couch and was like, "Excuse me, what's going on? This is my grandfather's house." She looked at me all confused and was like, "Oh, we just bought this house 2 weeks ago." I'm Beth, and I'm standing there like an idiot saying, "No, that's impossible. My grandfather left this house to me in his will." I probably sounded crazy to her. Then her husband, Anthony, I think, came out and showed me all their closing documents and stuff. And here's the insane part. My signature was on several of the papers, my signature. Except I never signed anything. I never authorized any sale. I was freaking out, and they obviously were getting uncomfortable, thinking they were dealing with some random crazy person. Anthony suggested I talk to their real estate agent, Vicky, and gave me her contact info. I called her from my car. I was seriously about to have a panic attack at this point, and she confirmed the sale was legit as far as she knew. Then she mentioned she worked directly with my mother who had power of attorney. I never gave my mother power of attorney. Ever. I drove straight to my mom's apartment. I was seeing red, honestly. Like I could barely focus on driving. When I got there and confronted her, she acted all confused at first, but then finally admitted she forged my signature on multiple documents. She actually said, "I deserve that house more than you, and my father would have wanted me to have financial security in my retirement." Are you kidding me? But wait, it gets worse. She's already spent like $75 of the money on gambling debts, a new Lexus, and a freaking shopping spree at Nordstrom. I'm not making this up. I wish I was. She stood there in her living room with all these new shopping bags around and had the nerve to say, "I raised you for 18 years. You owe me this. Family helps family." And by the way, this isn't even the first time she's pulled something like this. During my sophomore year of college, she called me crying about needing emergency dental surgery and borrowed $5 from me. Money I had saved from working 2 jobs. Found out later she used it to pay off a bookie. I should have known better, but she's still my mom, you know. I haven't been close with my mom in years, and now I know why my gut was telling me to keep my distance. We basically only talk on holidays and birthdays, and even then it's super awkward. I think deep down I always knew something wasn't right about her, but she's my mom, so I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt. I've scheduled a meeting with John Peterson, the family lawyer who handled my grandfather's estate. He's known our family for like 30 plus years, so I'm hoping he can sort this out quickly. I mean, forging signatures has to be illegal, right? But I don't want to cause huge family drama. I just want what's rightfully mine. I'm still in shock. How could my own mother steal my inheritance, the house that her own father wanted me to have? I honestly don't know what to do. I'm meeting with John in 2 days and trying not to completely lose my mind until then. Edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Thanks for all the responses. To answer some common questions. Edit 2. A lot of you are asking if I've contacted the police. Not yet. I want to talk to the lawyer first. I know it seems obvious that this is illegal, but she's still my mom, and I'm trying to figure out the least destructive way to handle this. Edit 3. Yes. I have copies of my grandfather's will. John, the lawyer, gave me everything after the funeral. The will very clearly states the house goes to me. There's no ambiguity. Edit 4. Some of you are asking about my dad. We're actually pretty close now that I'm an adult. He remarried about 7 years ago and his new wife is great. I just texted him about all this and he's furious. Apparently there was a lot about my mom's financial issues that he shielded me from when I was younger. Edit 5. To the people saying I should press charges immediately, I get it, but this is complicated. John said we need to meet first to go over all options. The meeting is tomorrow morning and I'll update after. Edit 6. And no, I don't have a copy of this supposed power of attorney because it doesn't exist. She forged that too. Now for the first update. Wow. First of all, I did not expect my post to blow up like that. I mean, it was kind of overwhelming, honestly. I've been reading all your comments and messages. Sorry I couldn't respond to everyone, and I appreciate all the support and advice. A lot has happened since I last posted a few days ago, and I'm still trying to process everything. So I met with John, the family lawyer, the day after my last post. The meeting was pretty intense. John confirmed what most of you said. What my mom did was 100% illegal, and we have grounds for both civil and criminal complaints. He said the house sale could potentially be invalidated because of the forgery. This isn't just a family disagreement or whatever my mom tried to call it, it's fraud. But then during the meeting, something even more disturbing came up. John asked if I had checked all my accounts recently, and I was like, what do you mean? And he suggested I look at my bank accounts right then and there. Turns out my mom still had access to my bank accounts as a secondary signer from when I first opened them in college. I completely forgot about that because it's been like 8 years and I never thought to remove her. I know, I'm an idiot for not checking this sooner. Trust me, I've been kicking myself about it nonstop. So I logged in right there in John's office, and guess what? She withdrew $4,200 from my emergency fund last week. She even left a note in the transaction description saying, borrowing to tide me over. Borrowing, without even asking me. I was literally shaking when I saw that. That was money I'd been saving for over a year in case something happened with my car or whatever. And here's where things get even crazier. John wasn't even surprised by any of this. He told me some family history I never knew about. Apparently, years ago, my grandfather Bruce had actually removed my mom from his will entirely after she borrowed against his business without permission to cover gambling debts. She almost caused him to lose his second store location. My grandfather never told me about any of this. He always protected me from the full truth about my mom's financial problems because he didn't want to damage our relationship, which, I get why he did that. But part of me wishes he had just been honest with me so I could have protected myself better, you know? Anyway, John and I had a whole discussion about what to do next. John said we need to file a police report for forgery and fraud immediately and showed me the forms. I hesitated because despite everything, she's still my mom. John reminded me that my grandfather wanted me to have that house for a reason. He knew exactly what he was doing when he left it to you instead of my mom. I told John that I actually still have access to my mom's accounts from last year when I helped manage her finances during her gallbladder surgery recovery. John immediately said we need to document all evidence of fraud before she can hide the money. I agreed, but told him I was worried about family backlash. Some of my relatives are already texting me saying I'm overreacting and should work things out privately with my mom. John said protecting my inheritance is what my grandfather would have wanted. So I decided to go ahead with legal action, but asked what kind of consequences my mom might face. John explained she could potentially face criminal charges depending on what the prosecutor decides to do with the case after the police investigation. So based on John's advice, I've taken a bunch of steps over the past few days. 1. Filed a police report for forgery and fraud. That was honestly one of the hardest things I've ever done. The officer kept asking if I was sure I wanted to proceed and I kept second-guessing myself. 2. Documented all the evidence of fraud using my access to my mom's accounts. I found so many questionable transactions, you guys, like over $12 at casinos in the past month alone. 3. Froze all our joint accounts immediately. 4. Notified my bank of the fraudulent activity. They've been surprisingly helpful. 5. Filed an emergency injunction to halt the final property transfer. This cost me like $1,500 in legal fees, but John says it's necessary. 6. Put a lien against the funds from the house sale. 7. Notified my mom's creditors about the potential fraud investigation. John also helped me contact Beth and Anthony, the people who bought the house. They were upset when they found out what happened, but have been pretty cooperative once we explained everything. They're actually really nice people and said they'll work with us through the legal process. I feel terrible that they got dragged into this mess. This whole thing has been so stressful. I've already missed 2 department meetings at my new teaching job. My department head, Rose, has been understanding so far, but I'm worried about making a bad impression in my first semester. My girlfriend, Molly, has been trying to be supportive, but I can tell she's getting concerned about how much this is affecting me. We've only been together 8 months, and suddenly I'm this stressed out, angry person all the time. Yesterday, she suggested I talk to a therapist about all this, and I kind of snapped at her, which I immediately felt terrible about. She didn't deserve that. I apologize, but still, not my finest moment. Oh, and when my mom found out her accounts were frozen, she completely lost it. She called me screaming so loud I had to hold the phone away from my ear. She wanted to know why her cards were being declined and what I did. I tried to stay calm and told her I've taken legal action to recover my inheritance. Then her tone completely changed, and she said I'm dead to her if I don't stop this immediately. I reminded her that she stole my house and forged my signature. I was getting pretty heated at this point. She claimed she was going to pay me back eventually and that I was overreacting. When I asked her about the $75,000 she already spent, she had the nerve to say she deserves nice things after sacrificing everything to raise me. I pointed out that my dad paid child support and alimony for years after the divorce. Then she threatened to tell the whole family that I'm trying to put her in jail. I told her I'm just trying to get back what legally belongs to me. She hung up after saying I'll pay for this betrayal. The family has completely split over this whole thing. My dad, Glenn, and his side of the family are 100% supporting me. My dad actually said he was proud of me for standing up for myself, which meant a lot. But my mom's siblings and my grandma Becky are calling me heartless for taking legal action against my own mother. My aunt texted me saying I'm breaking my grandmother's heart and should be ashamed of myself. And I know this is terrible, but part of me actually feels good about finally seeing my mom face consequences for once in her life. She's been pulling this kind of stuff forever and always getting away with it because family forgives or whatever. But then I feel guilty for feeling that way because she's still my mom and I don't want to see her suffer. But she left me no choice here. What was I supposed to do? Just let her steal $75,000 from me. Oh, and I just found out yesterday through my cousin that my mom used $50,000 of the house money as a down payment on a condo in Florida. That's now in jeopardy because of all the legal proceedings. She didn't even tell anyone she was planning to move to Florida. I only found out because my cousin mentioned it, thinking I already knew. My mom has been calling me constantly for the past 24 hours. Her tone has completely changed from anger to panic as she's realizing how serious this is. She left me a voicemail last night crying, saying she didn't think it would be such a big deal and thought I'd understand. Understand what? That she stole my house. I'm finally teaching her a lesson about responsibility. Maybe for the first time in her life, she'll have to actually face the consequences of her actions instead of manipulating everyone around her to clean up her messes. Anyway, that's where things stand right now. I'm meeting with John again tomorrow to go over next steps with the police investigation. I'll update again when I know more. Edit. To those asking if I'm sure I want to pursue criminal charges, yes, I am. John says we have a very strong case and the forgery is blatant. He showed me the documents and you can clearly tell it's not my signature. Like, it's not even close. Edit 2. Several people have asked about the gambling thing. Yes, it appears my mom has a serious gambling problem that I wasn't fully aware of. My dad apparently knew about it, it was part of why they divorced, but kept a lot of it from me when I was younger to protect me. There's actually a long history of this that I'm just now learning about. Edit 3. Someone asked about my grandfather's will. Yes, it very specifically left the house to me, not to my mother. The language was crystal clear, which is why the forgery was necessary for her to sell it. She couldn't have sold it legitimately. Edit 4. Yes, I've already changed all my passwords, removed her from all my accounts, and put credit freezes in place. Thanks for the suggestions on this. Edit 5. I appreciate all the comments saying I'm doing the right thing. It's honestly been really helpful to hear from people who aren't emotionally involved in the situation. When your own family is telling you you're being cruel, it's easy to start believing it. Now for the second update. So it's been almost 3 months since my last post, and holy crap, so much has happened. I'm not even sure where to begin, honestly. Thanks to everyone who commented on my last post with advice and support. I literally read every comment, even though I couldn't respond to all of them. Sorry. I've been meaning to update for weeks, but between the legal stuff, starting my new teaching job, and just trying to keep it together emotionally, I just haven't had the mental energy until now. First, the big news. We won the case. Completely and totally won. The court ruled 100% in my favor after reviewing all the evidence. The house sale was invalidated. Sorry, Beth and Anthony, but they were actually super understanding about the whole thing, and my mom was ordered to repay all the funds from the attempted sale. The judge looked at the forged documents for 30 seconds before basically saying, "This is clearly fraud," and ruling in our favor. John, our family lawyer, said it was one of the most straightforward cases he's ever handled. My mom is now potentially facing criminal charges for fraud and forgery. The prosecutor hasn't decided yet whether they're going to pursue the case or not. Part of me hopes they don't, because even after everything, I don't want to see my mom in actual jail. But another part of me, the part that's still really angry, thinks maybe she needs to face real consequences for once in her life. So what's happened to my mom since all this went down? Well, everything has basically fallen apart for her, and I'm having really complicated feelings about it. That Florida condo she put a deposit on, yeah, that deal collapsed, and she lost the non-refundable $50,000 deposit. The new Lexus she bought got repossessed after she defaulted on the loan payments because of her accounts being frozen. She still has all these gambling debts that she can't pay, and apparently there are 3 to 4 creditors actively pursuing collection against her. Her credit score is completely destroyed from all the financial violations, and she got evicted from her apartment because she couldn't pay rent. She's currently staying with my great-aunt Jen, but from what I hear, she's quickly wearing out her welcome there too. My cousin told me Aunt Jen is getting fed up with my mom's constant complaining and the fact that she refuses to look for work. She's only 55. She could definitely still work, but apparently thinks that's beneath her or something. During this whole process, I've found out that my mom has apparently been hiding a serious gambling addiction for over 15 years. My dad knew about it. It was actually the main reason for their divorce, but he kept it from me to protect me, which I get, I guess, but also, maybe if I'd known I wouldn't have been so easy for her to manipulate all these years. I don't know. I'm trying not to be mad at my dad about it. Oh, and I found something else that really messed me up. When I was cleaning out my grandfather's desk at the house, I found this stack of time-yellowed greeting cards that I'd made for my mom when I was a kid, Mother's Day cards and birthday cards that I'd spent hours making. She had given them all to my grandfather because she didn't have space for them. I don't know why, but finding those hurt almost as much as the house theft. She couldn't even be bothered to keep the cards her own kid made her. Anyway, my mom has been calling and texting me daily for the past few weeks, absolutely begging for help. The messages are all "I'm your mother, you can't let me be homeless, and I made one mistake and now you're punishing me forever, and after everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me." It's exhausting, and I hate it. She even showed up at my school last week, at my actual job. I was in my classroom after school grading papers when she just appeared. Her eyes were all red like she'd been crying. I asked how she found me and told her she shouldn't be there. She said she was desperate with nowhere else to go and everyone had abandoned her. I reminded her that she was the one who stole my inheritance and forged my signature. She tried to claim she was just trying to redistribute the inheritance to benefit us both. I pointed out that she spent $75,000 on herself in just 2 weeks after the sale. Then she started crying and finally admitted she has a gambling problem she can't control. I told her she needs professional help, not money from me. She begged me for just enough money for a small apartment, but I refused and offered to help her find addiction treatment programs instead. She rejected that idea, saying she's too old to change. The family pressure is getting intense from both sides. My grandmother Becky and my mom's sister Vicky keep calling me saying, She's still your mother, like that somehow erases what she did. Meanwhile, my dad and John are telling me I need to maintain firm boundaries or she'll never stop taking advantage of me. I still love my mom. I know that probably sounds crazy after everything she's done, but she's still my mom, and I can't just turn those feelings off. But I don't trust her at all anymore, and I struggle with guilt even though I know I'm right to protect myself. Here's what I've decided to do. 1. I'm not giving her any direct financial support. Period. 2. I've offered to help her enter gambling addiction treatment. I've researched programs and everything. 3. I'll consider having limited contact with her if she completes treatment and makes genuine amends. 4. I'm planning to sell my grandfather's house and use the money to pay off my student loans, which is what I think he intended, to give me financial freedom. The last time I saw her was yesterday. I met her at a coffee shop with information about treatment programs. She immediately pushed aside the pamphlets and asked when she could move in with me instead. I explained that our relationship depends on her getting help for her addiction. She accused me of being cruel and uncaring and said my grandfather would be ashamed of how I'm treating her, which really made me mad because we both know that's not true. I stayed calm and repeated that I'm setting necessary boundaries. She started crying loudly, making a scene so people at other tables were staring at us. I told her crying wasn't going to change my mind. Then she suddenly switched tactics and asked if I could loan her just $2,000 for rent on an apartment. I said no and started to leave. That's when she finally picked up the treatment information and asked if I would help her with the paperwork. I said yes to that, which felt like maybe a tiny step forward. This whole situation has been the most painful thing I've ever dealt with. Setting boundaries with a toxic parent is hard, especially when they're facing real consequences of their action. Some family members still blame me, and I don't know if my relationship with my mom can ever really heal. Sometimes I wonder if I should have found a less drastic way to handle everything. But then I remember that she was the one who committed actual fraud and stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from me. All I did was stand up for myself. I never wanted my mom to lose everything, but I couldn't let her steal my future. The hardest lesson I've learned is that sometimes love means setting firm boundaries, even with the people who raised you. My grandfather understood that better than anyone, and honoring his wishes feels like the right thing to do, even if it's broken my relationship with my mother. Some days I wonder if it was worth it, but then I remember what John told me. Enabling someone's destructive behavior isn't kindness, it's just another form of neglect. Edit. A lot of people are asking about Beth and Anthony, the couple who tried to buy the house. They were understandably upset at first, but have been surprisingly cool about the whole thing. The court ordered that they get their money back, plus some additional compensation for their troubles. They actually sent me a really nice card wishing me well, which was unexpected but nice. Edit 2. To answer the questions about my teaching job, yes, my principal knows about the situation now. I had to explain why my mom showed up at school. She's been really understanding and even helped me set up a system where the front office knows not to let my mom in if she shows up again. Edit 3. Yes, I changed all my passwords, put a credit freeze on my accounts, and set up fraud alerts. Thanks to everyone who suggested this in my previous posts. My mom will never have access to any of my finances again. Edit 4. Several people have asked if I'm in therapy. Yes, I started seeing someone about a month ago. It's helping a lot with the guilt and conflicted feelings. My girlfriend Molly actually found the therapist for me after I finally admitted I needed help processing everything. Edit 5. For those suggesting I should just forgive my mom and move on, I get that family is complicated, but she stole $375,000 from me, spent a bunch of it, and has shown basically zero genuine remorse. Forgiveness might be possible someday, but trust has to be earned back, and that starts with her getting help for her gambling addiction.